Hey there guys, welcome back to another buyer's guide. This time we'll be looking at a vehicle which honestly quite surprised me, the T20. This is a vehicle which at a glance may not look very impressive, as there's a similar vehicle, the T25, in the tech tree at the same BR, and that thing has a 90mm gun and thicker armor, so you may just assume that one is better than this thing all around. However, in addition to having the same 500 horsepower engine despite weighing a full 8.5 tons less than the T25, the T20 has something which you may not notice unless you look very closely at the model, a main gun stabilizer. Now granted, the Upgun Jumbo in the tech tree has one too, but unlike the rather cumbersome Sherman Jumbo, the T20 combines a stabilized main gun with quite excellent mobility and gun handling, allowing you to run and gun similarly the way you would with a high-tier main battle tank. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around and I'll tell you everything you need to know about this vehicle.
Just do it!
For those of you who aren't aware, the T20 is a Rank 4 battle rating 6.3 medium tank in the American tech tree, currently available for purchase for 3,850 Golden Eagles. And while the T20 does bring some quite impressive mobility and gun handling to the table, I should also admit there's one other feature of high-tier MBTs that the T20 experiences, which is that you really should not be relying on your armor. Let's take a look at protection. As you can see, the frontal armor on the T20 is really not anything to write home about. The only areas that are going to offer you any real protection are the areas where the armors overlap or a few spots where there are some extreme angles. Basically, if you ever encounter this thing, just shoot the flattest part you can hit, and if you're using something like a Long 88 or a Soviet 122, there's pretty much no part of this vehicle you can't easily penetrate, even the heavily angled parts. One thing I should mention though is that conversely to many other vehicles in this game, the area around the gun breech is actually the most heavily armored part of the frontal armor rather than being a weak spot, and also the gun breech itself is quite large and chunky and it may eat shots sometimes and save you. As for side armor, it will stop SPAAs and that's about it. Angling might help you a bit, but again, against Long 88s and the like, good luck. Looking at firepower, well, it's an American 76, with M62 as your main shell, pretty middle of the road, but maybe starting to get a little bit underpowered for the BR. Still, this is not a vehicle you should be using to fight the enemy team head-to-head anyways, so for our purposes, this should work fine. You do also get 10 degrees of gun depression, a quite speedy turret traverse speed of 24 degrees per second with an aced crew, and a respectable aced reload speed of only 5.9 seconds. This is definitely well above average in terms of gun handling, and in the mobility department we also see some real potency. With a maximum speed of 35 miles per hour and a horsepower to ton ratio of 17, the T20 is getting almost into light tank territory in this department. Granted, you may question why you wouldn't just take out an M18 or an M41 at that rate, but consider those vehicles are extremely vulnerable to aircraft, artillery, or any sort of autocannon, while the T20 is going to be pretty tricky to take out unless you actually put a main gun round into it. Plus, of course, it has a stabilizer. The other standout feature here comes with America's extremely stacked 6.3 ground lineup, which is basically every type of vehicle you could imagine other than an SPAA, Gaijin Wen. If you do run this thing with a lineup, as you probably should, this will allow you to not have to run this vehicle in disadvantageous situations, and also means you can take advantage of pretty much any map that gets thrown your way. You also get tons of options for fighters and CAS, but I think there's one option which pretty comfortably stands out among the rest, the A1H. This is an old Battle Pass vehicle back from when Battle Passes were actually worth buying, and it's currently a bit pricey on the market, but I can see why, because off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure this is the lowest BR aircraft in the game to get Zuni rockets, and also countermeasures too, because why not? In case you aren't familiar, Zuni rockets are quite high velocity with a massive shape-charged warhead that has over 450 millimeters of penetration and packs almost 9 kilograms of high explosive per warhead. This is enough to overpressure SPAAs even with a near miss, and it will easily one-shot heavy tanks. And you don't just get a few of them. Oh no, you get 40, and you can still bring along a 2,000-pound bomb, 3 HVARs, and a toilet for good measure. This is easily one of the most cracked CAS aircraft in the entire game, and since it's a premium, when paired with the T20, you are going to be absolutely drowning in SL by running these two in a lineup. But anyways, overall, what are my thoughts on the T20? Well, the T20 is not going to carry your whole lineup on its own. It has neither the armor nor the firepower to be a competitive frontline vehicle at this BR, and quite frankly, I'm surprised it's still 6.3. However, this vehicle is very good at its niche. It is extremely mobile, its stabilized gun lets it pretty much always get the first shot off, and unlike many light tanks, it has just enough protection to make it a very big pain in the ass to try to kill if it parks itself in a good camping spot. My overall rating, 7.5 out of 10. If you don't already play American 6.3, should you buy this thing? Probably not, as this is not really a vehicle you want to run all on its own. However, if you do already play American 6.3 and are considering this as an addition though, yes, I would definitely recommend it. This is an extremely potent flanking and infiltration vehicle that I've gotten some very high kill games with. If the enemy team has poor situational awareness and you can advance into an advantageous position, you are going to be an absolute nightmare to deal with. Anyways guys, that's going to be all for this one. For more informative ground RB guides, check out the playlist in the description, and if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.